6 months ago, I made a video about the Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust and how I thought that represented a very good alternative to the ARK Innovation ETF, if not even better. Back then, ARK had still outperformed Scottish Mortgage, and here's a little reminder. In the interest of a like-for-like comparison, I went ahead and compared the Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust to ARK Invest, as you can see from the graph. Over the last 6 years, ARK delivered 516% as mentioned earlier, but Smith was behind but not by much and still delivered huge returns. And yes, in terms of pure performance over the last 6 years, ARK takes the edge here. And since then, quite a few things have happened. ARK Invest recently sold Tesla's stock but maintains that Tesla has a lot more potential. Previously, Cathie Wood, ARK Invest founder, had also stated the strong potential in China, but the Chinese government crackdown led to the decision to sell off of Chinese stocks from the ARK ETFs. As a reminder, ARK is still below its highest price achieved in February 2021, but within 1 month the value fell by around 30%. Since then, the recovery has been somewhat slow, with a few ups and downs. Investors have been quite nervous with ARK Innovation's performance and wondered whether the fund was overvalued. In September, the fund showed a record outflow of capital since inception. The Financial Times reported earlier this month a record outflow in the month of September and a record high shorting the fund, as you can see from this nice graph. I've put the link in the description and it's an interesting short read. ARK's share price got a boost lately due to the surge in Tesla's stock price itself, which surpassed the $1 trillion valuation. There were only 4 companies with a valuation of more than $1 trillion. They are namely Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet, the parent company of Google. Now you can add Tesla to the club and crown Elon Musk as the wealthiest person on the planet. In October alone, Tesla gained 34%. So ARK Invest benefited from the rise in Tesla's value, but not as much because they sold out a little earlier. But Scottish Mortgage Investment Trust also invested in Tesla. If you take a look at its large holdings, it currently has 4.7% of its funds allocated to Tesla. That's despite having sold 80% of its holdings in the electric car manufacturer. In contrast, with ARK, which sold its Chinese holdings, Scottish Mortgage still has a large allocation to Chinese companies, including Tencent, Meituan, and Neo. If you look at their full allocation, it also has a small allocation to Alibaba and private company ByteDance, the company behind TikTok. So one key divergence between ARK and Scottish Mortgage is the exposure to Chinese markets. And that's what Tom Slater, one of the managers of Scottish Mortgage, had stated before. That is, they see exceptional growth coming from China. In their last annual report in March 2021, you can read how their exposure to China grew. However, the crackdown by Beijing has left me personally a bit wary and uncomfortable with Scottish Mortgage's position, to be honest. I currently have a substantial amount of money invested in this fund and other funds with Baillie Gifford with a Chinese allocation, so I'm not sure if this risk will pay off. The political landscape, in my opinion, is showing more and more confrontation with the West, and that can only end up badly for investors. But one thing I'm quite keen on is their position on some of the big techs. Scottish Mortgage sold out their holdings in Facebook and Alphabet completely. They no longer hold any stakes in those 2 giants, and here's a quote directly from their latest annual report. I quote, "We sold out our holdings in Facebook and Alphabet, the parent company of Google, as well as making reductions in Amazon. These companies generate prodigious cash flows and have grown at a remarkable rate. For us, the questions now are around how they deploy their resources in the future and retain their growth credential at vast scale. We think Amazon still enjoys the broadest set of opportunities, but we are wary that Jeff Bezos stepping back from the CEO role may reduce the company's appetite for bold experiments." End quote. In other words, they think that spectacular growth is difficult with those huge companies, and it makes sense. It's easy for a small company to double in size rather than the largest companies in the world to do the same. At the time of this video, Scottish Mortgage still held a 2.7% stake in Amazon. Putting their strategy to the side, the performance of Scottish Mortgage speaks for itself. And as of today, the Scottish Mortgage has surpassed ARK Innovation in terms of return. Since ARK's creation in 2014, it returned 496%, but Scottish Mortgage delivered 513% over the same period. And if you look at 2021 alone, the performance has been quite poor for ARK. In fact, if you invested in the beginning of the year, you would have lost 2% with ARK Innovation, but gained 20% with Scottish Mortgage. And remember, Scottish Mortgage has a much longer track record than ARK Innovation. Obviously, that's not a reason to jump in and buy Scottish Mortgage, because you can't really look at the past performance to predict the future. But you can look at the direction both companies are heading towards and decide for yourself. In this case, both funds are heavily invested in innovation. Scottish Mortgage has a larger number of public and private companies, which means they have somewhat less concentration risk than ARK. However, they have a substantial exposure to the Chinese market, which in these circumstances present additional political risk. So two different takes on the future. One could end badly. We need someone wise sent from the future to save us all, the Raminator. I'm talking about Ramin from PensionCraft, of course. If you haven't come across his channel, he's got deep expertise in investing and is one of the few investing channels I would thoroughly recommend. I'm not sponsored or affiliated, by the way, it's just a nice shout out to something of really good value. That's it from me. If you like my video, please subscribe, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.